Lorong dia, ouvintes no telespectadores, nebe acompanha a transmissão direta idane, o CCTA Dili, Hamuto Kohau, Marcelina de Jesus. Ouvintes no telespectadores, Autoridade Nacional de Petróleo e Minerais, Serviço Hamuto com o Ministério do Petróleo e Recursos Minerais, a empresa consultória no promoção energética INVR Petrolífera, OHIM realiza Cimeira Internacional da HAT, com a energia no minerais, nebese halau durante lorong tolu, hahu e lorong sanulu resing hat, to sanulu resing nen fulangne. Atu fornuin, ouvintes no telespectadores katak, Cimeira idane laos foi em primeira vez realiza, mas be hahu realiza da huluk e hatinang rihurua sanulu resensia. Objetivo husi Cimeira ohin lorongiang mak, atu atrai kadada investidores mai Timor-Leste, de hare oportunidades no potenciais nebe Timor-Leste iha ligado ho mina no gás no mos recursos sira seluk hanesang mineiro. Informamos ouvintes no telespectadores, orador importante iha Cimeira idane maka Ministro Petróleo no Minerais, Sua Excelência Vitor da Conceição, Presidente ANPM Florentino Soares Pereira, nunemos orador seluk husi companhia patrocinador sira. Além de orador sira, conteúdo husi lorong da huluk basimeira idaneniang fahe basesão hat, husi programa upstream no downstream. Iha sessão da huluk, se iha apresentação breves palavras, husi ema importante sira, makhanesang, senhora Krisa Soraki, CEO da empresa INVR, tuirmai Sua Excelência Primeiro-Ministro Tarumatan Ruak, Presidente ANPM Florentino Soares Pereira, Diretor no CEO da Companhia Santos, Sr. Kevin Gallagher, no Presidente Timor-Leste, Sr. Antônio de Souza. Firmai e a sessão da RUAC se colhia com a resultado no futuro ciclo licenciamento. Nebe lidera Russi, Diretor Exploração no Promoção ANPM, Sr. Mateus da Costa. No visão Clean, Russi Perito Técnico, com a prospectividade área offshore, se apresenta o Sr. Paul Robinson, no dar consultor principal ANPM. E a sessão da Toluk se colhia com a Timor-Leste, no dar Hub Transição Energia Sudoeste Asiático Niang, ligado ao armazenamento, captura carbono e a Timor-Leste. Nebe se apresenta o Sr. Brett Woods, no dar Presidente Midstream no Clean Fuel. Ouvintes no telespectadores e a sessão Icusliu, uma sessão da RAD, se colia com a enquadramento regulatório no cooperação regional, NBC Hareliu, com a introdução do enquadramento legal energia no regime fiscal Timor-Leste. No parte idanês se apresenta o diretor comercial, Sr. Agus Maradona Tilman. Ouvintes no telespectadores, firmai e te acompanha muito Cimeira Internacional com a energia no minerais, Russi Salão City 8, Dili Manlewana.
Suai Municipality. So let me help welcome Primavera Group. Let's give a round of applause to Primavera Group from Suai Municipality. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we now entering the session 1. Timor-Leste's leading institution. That's with further ado, I would like to invite the VIP, the first keynote speakers, to please come on the stage. But before that, please remain calm. We will set the table before all excellencies to come on the stage. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, for your information, the committee has also prepared the simultaneous translation tools, so please help yourself. And again, I would like to inform you that for this summit, we will not prepare the agenda because we don't want to cut more trees just to print more agendas. So the committee has prepared the key barcode, so you just can scan it and get your agenda by yourself. I think that's it. The table is set. Once again, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome our VIP guests to be on the stage for the first session, Timor-Leste Leading Institution. So to open up the first session, I would like to invite Ms. Krisha Suraki. The time is yours.
Great. Everyone can hear me, right? Even at the back? Great. Thank you. Thank you so much. Bom dia, bem-vindos, Your Excellencies. Thank you very, very much for joining us today. It's been 2 years, 3 years actually, more or less, and I couldn't be happier that I'm here with the team and being here able to host you physically and not behind a screen. Good. Thank you so much. So I only have literally 2 slides to explain who we are and what we're here for. Let me bring this closer to me. So I will just go through, because we have the Excellencies waiting. I will just have 2 slides to go on with the company. So besides an events organizer, that you already know us for our event services, we've actually been the partner of the ANPM throughout this licensing round. So the network that INVR has, I know many of you have been aware that we have a global network of investors. So Madalena, I'm really sorry, but this is not working. No worries. I can go on here. We have been working with 55 countries across the world. We specialize in working with international governments. We support them with licensing and promotion, with any project that they need funding for, and at the same time we work with the private sector to bring them together with investors and their next partners. This is just a map that shows some governments we're currently working with, all the way, you see Timor-Leste all the way to Brazil, where we came from 2 weeks ago. We work with the EMP, we work with Argentina, Peru, Ecuador, we work with Cuba, Morocco, so all across the globe. But we have a very special, there's a very special place in our heart for East Timor. So now this is a bit tricky. No. We just need to do it manually. You can go to the next slide. I think it really has run out of battery. So I have to go manually. I love this about live events. You always have this one that happens at the very first presenter, and it's me. Okay, great. So here we have some projects we've been working through the last probably year or so. Again, all the way from Colombia to Brazil and Timor-Leste, Ghana, and hydrogen. And next slide, please. Click. We go back to where our heart is today, and that's East Timor, Timor-Leste. Is it working? Is it? Okay, great. Thank you. So apologies for this hiccup, but this is something that we're very, very proud of and shows our history with the ANPM we've been working very, very closely and organizing roadshows for the round. We've been to Houston, to London, to Abu Dhabi, to Australia, you name it. We've been across the world. Then for the sake of this round, COVID was really, really hard, not just for the licensing round of Timor-Leste and the ANPM, but there were many licensing rounds that have been cancelled, postponed. This was not one of them. This has been a very successful licensing round, and thanks to the team, the ANPM and the INVR, that work together to ensure that we have spoken with over 300 oil companies across the world with a very tailored proposal to the investors. What can Timor-Leste offer to them? We managed to have the success that we have today. Then we also work together at the organization of the Dubai Expo. And we've worked together for the energy summit that we had online. We have been working through some training for media and marketing, and we've organized capacity building where President Florentino and his team has been a part of. So I'm going back a step to 2019, where we had 170 delegates. That's the previous physical edition for anyone that was not present. And we had the announcement of the licensing round. So what happens this year? We have over 250 people that are attending today. We actually have a full room, I don't know if you've noticed. We're launching the mining day, that's day 3 at the event, and we have beautiful announcements from the ANPM and interesting talks about the CCS plan, mining, local content. That is the theme of this event. At the same time, there will be charity donations, as we had promised during the last edition, 3 days of content instead of 2. Sustainability actions I'm going to talk about, and from our perspective, we have been growing in the region and in the country with the presence of our regional director, Ms. Romina Kraus. Here is a snapshot of what we're going to see during day 2 and 3. Day 2 is focused on local content, day 3 mining exploration, and this is the nicest part of the event, to be working with the government of Timor-Leste. We would really like to thank them because they have been with us from A to Z. They have been supporting us with the guidance, with the thoughts, and with, of course, manpower. So thanks to the Presidency, the Prime Minister's Office, the Ministry of Petroleum and Minerals, and the entire government of Timor-Leste. Thank you very much from the bottom of our hearts. At the same time, we all know that this event is happening to honor and to present the updates of the ANPM. They are our co-hosts, they are our host, our sponsor and our partner. We'd also very much like to thank Santos, our co-hosts for the event, that have also supported us the most. So this one will come later, sorry. So we have the platinum sponsors, Timogod. As you can see, the panel behind me is full of logos. That's because everyone has contributed in this course. Timogod has sent very senior delegation to the event. Thank you very much. BNCTL, Caltech and Bolloré, Woodside, Vieira de Almeida, Beacon, Sandagas, Schlumberger. Thank you very much, guys. And again, local content, that is at the heart of this edition. We have so many local companies supporting, whether it's manpower, it's the water, it's the internet that's supporting the event today. They won't be here to support with everything they have. And we are very proud and thankful. Last year we only had 2 companies supporting in terms of local content. This year we have way more. We have exhibitors from all around the world, not just Timor-Leste. Please take the time to talk to them during the break. And going back to the sustainability that I briefly touched upon, is very important to us, and at the same time it's something that President Florentino is already in favor of and supporting. As you can see, we used to have agendas printed, and not anymore. We have a QR code on your badge. At all times you can scan to find the agenda and the program of the day or any other information you might require. Badges all at all times, even during dinner, please. Internet, big thanks to Gadamo for their support. This is the username and the password. And simultaneous translation is available for anyone that needs Tetum English Tetum. The hashtag for the event, for anyone who'd take a picture and put on social media, is Till Summit 2022. And here is the other sustainability initiative that we want to launch. We had a very interesting conversation with Caltech, and we decided that all of the pens, pads, cartons, anything that you guys are using, please, if you do not need to take them home with you, please leave them here, and Caltech will turn them into material for building bricks and everything. Thank you very much, Caltech, by the way, Jean. It's incredible what you're doing. So I talk about the hashtag, and this is something we are going to properly announce during the gala dinner. But this event's profit supports a very important local initiative. And I will ask all of you to donate to the cause, whether this is cash in the pocket, anything goes. So please join us to support our orfanato. These are some upcoming events for anyone interested in hydrogen. That's next week in London. I don't know if you can make it. And there is Brazil Green that I know we have some Portuguese speakers and some companies that have presence in Brazil that could join us. And as I'm running out of time, drinks reception will take place at the Palacio Nobre, and it's sponsored by the AMPM and Santos. Please make sure that you make your way to the exit at around 6:30, so we will be time conscious. And without any further ado, I know, Minister, I took a bit of time, but I'd like to join us on the stage to initiate the conference. So I'd like to invite His Excellency Victor da Conceição Soares, Minister of Petroleum and Minerals, to kickstart this interesting, high-level, and at the same time entertaining event. I wish you all a fruitful event, fruitful conversations and meetings, and for anyone that wants to have a one-on-one, please let our team know. Thank you very, very much.
Obrigado, muito obrigado à senhora Cris Souraki. É uma honra de estar aqui neste nobre salão, de dirigir algumas palavras relativamente ao evento, que é o evento dos parceiros de desenvolvimento. E também gostaria de estar aqui, de agradecer todo o apoio dado ao longo do tempo para o governo de Timor-Leste, os parceiros de desenvolvimento, mas em primeiro lugar eu gostaria de cumprimentar boas-vindas aos embaixadores, honoráveis embaixadores dos países amigos aqui presentes, aos parceiros de desenvolvimento da indústria petróleo e minerais aqui presentes, e também aqui vejo ex-chefe das Forças Armadas, o general Lere, e também o atual vice-chefe do Estado-Maior das Valentil, e todos os convidados aqui presentes. Gostaria de dar o meu agradecimento em nome do Primeiro-Ministro do 8º Governo Constitucional e também pelo próprio, em meu nome, como Ministro do Petróleo e Minerais, aqui para lançar a abertura deste Summit, que é Energia e Mineral Summit. Portanto, este é um evento muito importante para Timor-Leste, porque nós todos temos esta consciência de que, na medida em que o nosso fundo petrolífero e a nossa receita petrolífera tem vindo o seu declínio, portanto, este é uma oportunidade para procurar soluções alternativas para como estimular e fazer crescer no futuro próximo as nossas receitas para a sustentabilidade e o crescimento econômico do nosso país amado Timor-Leste. Portanto, como este summit para o consumo dos nossos parceiros de desenvolvimento, portanto, gostaria de dirigir aqui breves palavras em inglês para que possa ter um bom entendimento aos nossos parceiros de desenvolvimento. Excelência Presidente do ANPM e INVL, colleagues from neighboring countries, representative from the companies, our nation oil company, Timor-Leste PP, President CEO and his delegation, IPG, the ITI representative, CEO Santos, Mr. Kevin Gallagher, and his delegation, representative from INI, representative from Woodside, Sundagas, HPS, and many of you are here that I cannot mention one by one. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great honor to be here today representing His Excellency Prime Minister and as a Minister of Petroleum and Minerals to open this landmark summit of 4th Timor-Leste energy mining. First and foremost, on behalf of His Excellency Prime Minister, I would like to extend my profound gratitude to all the delegations from Australia, Indonesia, Singapore, Malaysia, UK, Mozambique, and many other countries who are present here today. I also like to thank INPM, INVR, and Santos for its partnership and for hosting this summit. Similar gratitude is also extended to other sponsors and partnership. This summit is very important for Timor-Leste as it allows us to contemplating Timor-Leste oil and gas industry after 18 years since its genesis. The participation of the local content as well as newly expanded industry of mining. As all you may aware, the oil and gas is a very fundamental industry for Timor-Leste. It is a major source of revenue for the country for the last 17 and 18 years. The leadership in the 8th government and myself have been very supportive
with all the initiative, innovation, creativity undertaken by the respective agencies under my supervision, such as INPM, Timor-Leste, IPG, and EITI. The leadership commitment has been contemplated upon the recent exploration activity throughout the drilling Bayu-Undang infill wells. The first onshore drilling that was launched directly by His Excellency Prime Minister, as well as the latest result of Biden round. The Prime Minister's office and myself are fully aware of the ongoing effort introduced by Carbon Capture Storage, CCS, as part of the last year MOU signed between ANPM and Santos. We envisage to explore and enable framework for regulatory and commercial. This initiative has been conveyed by our Prime Minister to the former Australian Prime Minister, Mr. Scott Morrison, through the meeting between our two Prime Ministers. Taking the opportunity today, I would like to emphasize to the Australian government that Timor-Leste, through its respective agency, is working toward a successful implementation of the CCS project here in Timor-Leste. Hence, we would like to see similar support from Australian government on this project. The country continues to strive towards a stable industry, and the top leadership of the country is very supportive of the effort expelled by technical teams in the respective governmental agencies. As many of you may aware that our mining code was passed last year, and the code has entered into force since the beginning of this year. This is another pivotal sector for the country's development. We hope we will attract more investors and interest to the country. The 8th constitutional government is trying its best to restore and recover the economy through the diversification of economy and activities in oil and gas, mining, as well as tourism. Thus, also to emphasize that since most of the delegation are coming from neighboring countries, we would like to ensure you that tourism is another fundamental sector that requires special attention. We are working towards bringing more, not only investors, but also tourists to the country. The companies who are present here are ambassadors of our tourism sector. Please share also the hidden beauty of this country apart from the precious resources. We will promise to restore flight into the country. We understood that many of you have taken longer routes due to the limited routes in the region and beyond. As aware that right now we have 6 flights a week into the country from Australia. But again, frequent flights from other countries in Asia is also something that we are actively working on. We hope sooner rather than later we will have more new flight routes restored to allow the smoothness of the activities in the oil and gas, as well as mining and tourism, to take place in Timor-Leste without any hassle. Ultimately, on behalf of the Prime Minister, as Minister of Petroleum and Minerals, I would like to wish you all a successful 3-day summit, and our hope is that you will achieve what you set to achieve in this summit. On behalf of Prime Minister, I would like to launch this summit. May God bless you and bless us.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I always love the launch of the event officially. You can never stop having enough entertainment during a very professional conference. And this is one of the reasons why I love this country the most. As we're speaking about the importance of hydrocarbons and energy in this country, we would proceed with more in-depth speeches and presentations. So for this reason, I'd like to invite President Florentino Suarez Pereira. President, the AMPM, I really think that he needs no introduction. President, the stage is yours, and looking forward to hearing your thoughts.
Thank you, Krisha, and very good morning to all of us. First of all, Excellency Minister of Petroleum, who is also acting on behalf of His Excellency Prime Minister, Excellency members of the government, and of course diplomatic corps who are present here today from Australia, the European Union, Japan, South Korea, China, Indonesia, and many others who are here today that I cannot go mention and name on the list. First, our profound respect to our former generals, Lieutenants and Timos, and the representative from the Defense Force, General Koliaki, our local and international financial institutions, BNCTL, BNU, IFC, and many others of you who are present here. Distinguished delegations from Australia, colleagues from DISA, GSO Australia, Northern Territory Government, and representatives from the Indonesian government as well as nearby countries, the Indonesian government from SKK and Pertamina, Mozambique, and perhaps other neighboring countries who are present here today. Of course, our profound gratitude to our long partner, IBR, and also our national oil company, Timogod, IPG, PITI, Kevin, Ceo Santos, who is willing to make his way to Timor. We've been talking about it for about 10 times since last year during COVID. I had to catch him up in Glasgow for COP26, but finally we made it here with Santos top management. Thank you for making yourself available for the summit. And of course, the representatives from ENI, Woodside, Sunderland, HTS, Nickel, representatives from our sponsor groups from platinum, gold, silver, and bronze, thank you, as well as our local partners. Ladies and gentlemen and distinguished guests, once again, a very good morning to all of us. First of all, on behalf of the National Authority of Petroleum and Minerals, I would like to welcome you to the 4th Timor-Leste Energy and Mining Summit, and of course, welcome to Delhi. I know that we had one short trip, not short, but quite long, for some of our delegations who arrived earlier last week, and they had the privilege to see around the country, particularly tour around the south coast. The colleagues from the Australian delegations, probably next time we'll do that in the coming summit. Again, it's good that we could all finally have a face-to-face summit. It was so unfortunate for the last 2 summits we had to actually endure virtual platforms, clicking the links and ensuring that we'd be able to connect it. But finally, since the first summit that we had in Timor, coinciding with the first, the second, actually, if I say it first, Giuseppe Seo will be angry with me, because he was running the first licensing round back in 2005, and we actually launched the second licensing round in 2019, coinciding with the first Timor-Leste Energy Summit. Of course, it has been a challenging year. COVID, economic downturn, but again, to Timor-Leste, particularly to AMPM, it has also been the year or a period of opportunities. This summit has the fundamental objective to creating more opportunities. And of course, with that in mind, please allow me to take through three major outlines of my key address this morning. The first would be the highlights of Timor-Leste, particularly ANPM achievements for the last 2 difficult years. And then let me give you some sort of insight where we are today and where are we heading. Two bodies, as they say in Latin, a language that is no longer used. The third one, how Timor-Leste positioned itself in the region and beyond in relation to the latest energy imbalance on supply and demand trend, decarbonization projects, and moving towards energy transition and achieving net zero targets by a reasonable time frame. I'm not saying 2050 here, but we can have more discussion. Perhaps I just want to highlight some of the achievements that ANPM managed to achieve despite COVID-19 and the difficult period that we've been through. The first, we managed to drill 6 wells within the year of 2021. To us, it's a record. It might be a record in the world during COVID, mainly because of the logistical challenge during COVID-19 is unbearable, and maintaining COVID-free facilities is almost impossible. But that's what we've been through. We managed to drill 6 wells within a year period, 2021. We successfully drilled 3 infill wells with Santos. We drilled the first 2 wells in onshore Timor-Leste. That's of course after half of a century, 50 years exploration out in onshore Timor. The last well was drilled in 1971. We drilled also an exploration well, 510 well. Unfortunately, the result was disappointing, but that's the reality in the oil and gas industry, the risk that we have faced. We also completed our second license. We had to extend twice from 2000. The intention was to pretty much wrap it up by 2020. Unfortunately, 2020 we were hit hard with COVID. So we extended to 2021. We were trying to actually close it, but then in Q4 of 2021 we saw that there was a chance to actually go out and reach out to other potential investors and companies. So we decided to extend all the way to 2022. Ultimately, we managed to close it. We got around 5 companies. Interestingly, we have the national oil companies and also a private company from domestic in Timor. So we also signed an MOU with Santos to explore the CCS opportunity at Bayonga, the largest in the world, if it ever happened. That's already put Timor-Leste on map in relation to the commitment towards Paris Accord and achieving net zero. Timor-Leste is a very low emitter, even zero emitter, but we do care about the global issues. That's what I think that's a real contemplation or reflection of what people say. Think globally, not locally. But I think we think globally, we act globally as well. Again, we look forward to frame the enabling frameworks and making sure that we'll be able to learn from nearby countries, references from the projects around the world, and making sure that we are ready to move ahead. Despite today we'll be focusing on oil and gas, I'll be willing to share, as we will be also discussing this in the next 2 days. We managed to get our mining code approved. The mining code was actually presented to the government and the national parliament in 2013, but in 2016 it was actually sent back, and then we reactivated again when the minister took office. I insisted to actually bring this back to the Parliament, and during the COVID period as well, and we managed to get the mining code approved unanimously by all parties in Parliament. Ultimately, we get His Excellency President of the Republic promulgated the code, and it has entered into force on the 1st of January this year, and we look forward to expand this industry. We also recently get the National Mining Company Decree Law approved and promulgated by His Excellency President of the Republic. So now let me take you to the second point of my key address today. Where are we today and where are we heading for Varis? Today we have around 15 projects in both onshore and offshore. For a country the size of Timor, having to have 15 projects means it will be a busy years ahead. Taking the stage from His Excellency Minister, of course we need connectivity, we need more flights, we need infrastructure. We'll be having a lot of discussions on this throughout the summer. We are working on the CCS, Energy Framework, and nationally. We want to continuously promote our 13 remaining blocks and ensure that we could attract more investors into the country. So these are the plan of what the actions that we are taking today, and we look forward to moving together with some of you, or some potential companies who are willing to come and hand in hand to see the opportunities that we have in Timor. So lastly, how Timor-Leste position itself in the region and beyond in relation to the latest energy supply and demand trend, also decarbonization projects and moving towards energy transition and achieving net zero targets by reasonable time frame. I always use that reasonable time frame because recently I was in Singapore. I was speaking in the first panel, and everyone's in the panel was actually saying 50, 60, 40, etc. But I think I tend to align, which I'll share my reason why I align with that particular sort of time frame. First, the imbalance of the world energy supply, energy demand and supply, due to the Russia-Ukrainian wars. The energy crisis is not only in Europe. Recently, as I said, I was in Asia Pacific Energy Assembly in Singapore and spoke at the first panel. What I share with most of the participants is that there is a huge challenge in Asia to meet the energy demands today in the upcoming decades. Let's work a bit on a statistic. Asia accounts for 60% of the world's population, 4.6, 4.7 billion population. China accounts for 25% of the world energy demand. About 63% of China's crude oil supply in 2019 came from imports. The ASEAN Energy Outlook predicted that Southeast Asia energy demands are expected to rise by 60% by 2040. Yet over 40% of their energy are imported. Our neighboring countries, Indonesia, used to be an exporter of the crude and gas, but now it's an importer. They can confirm that to us later. What does this statistic mean to Timor-Leste? Means to its 15 projects and other 13 remaining blocks that are still open for market. Timor-Leste, despite its small in its landmass, we have relatively vast offshore area. I see Timor-Leste, Australia and Indonesia have the potential to resolving the energy demands in Southeast Asia, Asia and beyond. This is something that I think it's doable. This is something that I think we could achieve through the summit and after the summit. It's estimated around more than 50 TCF locked resources in Timor-Leste, Australia and Indonesia. We have basins such as Carnarvon, Browse and Bonaparte host some of these largest fields, such as Barossa Caldita. We have Avon Shore, we have Abadi, We have sunrise, we have some smaller field shortage. Some of these fields are relatively challenging to develop. Taking an example of the high CO2 concentration and investment challenge, the appetite for the investment coinciding with the commitment of a net zero Paris Accord. So, what Timor-Leste could offer to the region? Timor-Leste is working on a decarbonization project that could consider as a neighbor to unlock these projects. BioUL and CCS. We'll be discussing this further through our discussion. So the bottom line is that I see a potential for a trilateral cooperation between the three countries: Australia, Indonesia, and Timor-Leste. We currently have LNG partnership with Australia. Our counterpart from Kaiser, David, who is also present here. We've established this LNG partnership with Australia. In the past, we had Timor-Leste, Indonesia cooperation in the energy sector. Can we reactivate that again? And can we pursue a new trilateral cooperation between the three countries? I think we have the trilateral cooperation in the investment and trade, if I'm not mistaken, but someone can confirm that. So these are the questions that I left for us to contemplate on. And of course, throughout the summit, it is intended for us to further explore other crucial elements in local content in order to develop Timor-Leste and Timorese participation in its own projects. This is a challenge that we've been facing for the last 17, 18 years. Cooperation with the financial institutions in Timor-Leste, with the banks. How can banks take proactive roles in the oil and gas projects in Timor-Leste? How can company operators invest in the local banks through the local content commitment, performance bonds, bank guarantees, decommissioning cost reserves? For the last 18 years, the complaint has been credit rating. Again, I see this as a means of allowing the local bank to achieve a good credit rating, and moreover, provide more financial access to Timorese entrepreneurs and allow them to participate in the oil and gas project as well. Local content has been a challenging pillar in its implementation for the last 17 and 18 years. A lot of aspects contributed to these challenges, and we are looking forward to find a good reference in order to allow us to better implement in the coming days, coming years. We've been trying to come up with a local content policy, legislation, regulation, try to learn from other countries in Africa, Nigeria, others, Angola. But still, sometimes people argue that you need to actually discover an elephant field in order to pursue that. But again, we can offer competitive labor, competitive price to your projects. So let's together discuss this and with an open mind and making sure that we could contribute to the development here in Timor-Leste. Lastly, infrastructure has become a major dilemma in the whole process of nation building. For the last 20 years, since independence, Timor-Leste is striving to put basic infrastructure throughout the island. One of the major achievements of this year might be the Tiba Port. Tiba Port is fundamentally crucial to host larger activities such as our upcoming decommissioning of BioUL that is planned for the end of this year or early next year. And we look forward to the commitment invested by our partners. And lastly, I think having to contemplate these questions I raised in this, and I hope we can discuss this thoroughly so we can achieve what we have set to achieve in the summit, and the summit become a successful one. I look forward to a proactive discussions in the panel session and listen to insightful presentations during the summit. Once again, I've left repeat many of the questions that are unanswered, but we look forward to get the answers as the summit progresses. Once again, welcome to Timor-Leste, and thank you very much for the attention.
So I'm going to inaugurate this microphone while we're working between the... It's ready? Great. So I'll give you a small anecdote from Houston. Certainly you have been talking about the CCS plan. I remember when we were in Houston, we met after, it was the first time we met previous people, the ANPM control seat, the driver's seat. And he said, look, I have an idea. I said, okay, because he comes up with ideas all the time, so he calls up and he says, I have an idea. So I said, okay, I'd like to hear what the idea is about. And he started to say, no, I'm going to show you. And he presents a whole plan with scientists. He says, you cannot tell anyone because this is not out yet. I said, of course I will not say a word. And we were so impressed. And it was so hard to keep it quiet until we went to, what was the first time I think it was in Dubai, in Gastech, that we slightly with Director Marcos, we slightly started talking about it. And he said, what is Timor-Leste? What is Timor-Leste? Ours. And we explained and we said, what do you have to offer? And then we started talking about the CCS plan. And I swear to God, in maybe an hour, our group was full of people saying, okay, I want to learn more. I want it. So how can we get involved in Timor-Leste? So that's how important it is. And every time that we start talking about the CCS, this is the image I have in mind, this room in Houston, this terrible room in Houston where we had this first-time presentation. So having said that, we would not be having this conversation without Santos. So next in line is Kevin Gallagher, that he's going to give us his keynote remarks as well. Kevin, I hope I pronounced it correctly. The stage is yours, and if you need any logistics help, I'm here for you, okay?
Thank you very much. Bon dia. I'd like to start by acknowledging Minister for Petroleum and Mines, Minister Victor Slaughter, Mr. Florentino Slaughter Ferreira, the President of ANPM, Mr. Antonio de Sousa, President and CEO of Timogod, Australian Ambassador, Mr. Phil Costello, our joint venture partners, contractors, suppliers, and particularly our local, ladies and gentlemen. It's fantastic to be here with you in person, 2 years after Santos took operatorship of the Bioengine project. Unfortunately, the pandemic of the last 3 years meant that this has been the earliest opportunity I've had to come and visit, to see and meet you all in person. The pandemic threw up many challenges. One of the most frustrating has been the inability to have these face-to-face conversations. It's great to be here on this, a milestone for you for Timor-Leste. 20 years after restoration of independence. There is much to be proud of in the nation's young history, and I know at Santos we're proud of working and developing together with the people of Timor for over 20 years. Timor has an important voice in the international community, and particularly in our Indo-Pacific region. You strongly stand for high levels of freedoms, of democracy and political choice, of the press and of religion. Your hard-fought freedoms and the strong people-to-people ties we share mean our relationships will only continue to strengthen. I was reflecting last night about the people-to-people ties that we share. Those ties have been built on the physical connection of the Bayu-Undan project from Timor-Leste to Australia. That pipeline and the project represent the connectedness of the two countries. This week, we celebrate what has been achieved over the past 2 decades, and we also look forward to the future and those priorities that we will achieve together. For Santos, we celebrate not only 20 years of investing in Timor-Leste and developing Bayu-Undan together, but also 2 years since we took over operatorship from ConocoPhillips. During the past 2 decades, the Bayu-Undan project has played a critical role in the financial independence of Timorese people, with $21 million contributed to the Timor-Leste nation. The project has created local jobs, it's generated revenues for government, and driven investment and strengthened communities. Importantly, the Bayu-Undan project has a focus on local content and local employment. I believe at Santos we will further strengthen this local focus. Over its life, the project has invested more than $190 million on local content right here in Timor, and almost 500 Timor-Leste nationals are employed across the project. At the start of last year, Santos and our joint venture partners commenced a 3-well drilling program at the Bayu-Undan field. This program was not in the pipeline prior to us taking over the operator of the project. We know how important extending Bayu-Undan's field life is for the people of Timor, and so upon taking operatorship, we got straight to work on options to do exactly that. The drilling program extended the life of the project by about a year and delivered value for both the Bayu-Undan joint venture and the people of Timor-Leste, and the jobs and investment a program like this creates. The drilling program was achieved on plan and on budget, even with the increased difficulties that operating during a pandemic caused. Those outstanding results are a testament to many of you in the room, and I want to thank you, not only the Santos people, the government and the regulator, but all of our partners, our suppliers and our contractors on delivering that outstanding result. As a result of the campaign through last year, we spent more than $5 million on goods and services from Timorese businesses. Extracting this additional value benefits our people and their families, the communities who rely on our business and investment, and delivers government increased revenues. Strengthening and being a part of the communities where we operate is a core value at Santos. Our commitment to the community here in Timor is focused on the 3 key pillars of education, health and the environment. Our projects strengthen communities through the jobs and investments that they create. Here in Timor, included in our community program, are a scholarship program which enables Timorese students to undertake postgraduate studies on energy-related fields in the US. So far, the program has had 25 participants, and we are exploring ways to continue this program into the future with a focus on studies within the Australian tertiary education sector. Vocational training on electrical and instrumentation program that equips young Timorese with electrical and instrumentation skills. Working with the ANPM, 2 groups have commenced and are currently included in the public and private sectors, with the 3rd program about to commence. So if you're interested in seeing how you can get involved, please reach out to one of our team at the event here today. And a nursing program, a development program that in partnership with St John of God builds capacity in the Timorese health system to improve public health outcomes across the country, based in Dili National Hospital. And very importantly, a reforestation project that has planted 37,000 trees across 21.5 hectares. While these ongoing programs have long-term benefits for both individuals and communities, Santos is also committed to supporting the here and now. Last April, we stood shoulder to shoulder with the people of Timor-Leste during the devastation that occurred as a result of the significant floods. We donated $250,000 to the Red Cross to assist with getting people out of harm's way to safety, and we assisted with the provision of helicopter support for emergency relief. However, we know The true devastation of these natural disasters lasts well after the immediate emergency response. We have continued to support those recovery efforts, and I'm glad to have heard about those efforts since arriving here just yesterday. While I'm extremely proud of the bonds and the partnerships that we've fostered over many years, I'm personally very excited about our future. As I'm sure you would be aware, London is coming to the end of its field life. While the previous operator had plans to move straight to decommissioning of the facilities, we thought there might still be opportunity to be found, and so our team, in conjunction with the ANPM and the joint venture partners, have done some great work about first how to extend the project's field life through optimisation activity and the 3C infill drilling programme we talked about earlier, and secondly to come up with a long-term plan for the facilities. Together with the Timorese government and the ANPM, that critical work has led us to develop a plan for the world's largest carbon capture and storage project. We're seeing a global energy security crisis play out at the moment. The Russian invasion of Ukraine and the supply strike we've seen over recent years has led to global supply crunch. What this energy security crisis has shown us is that LNG will continue to be in strong demand for decades to come. However, the world demands that we find ways to explore how to reduce our emissions. This is where carbon capture and storage will be a game changer, and where we believe could be a significant new industry for Timor-Leste. If we are serious about decarbonisation and keeping our economy strong, we must find ways, through technology, to make natural gas and other hydrocarbons cleaner. No technology can make a bigger difference to the energy transition than carbon capture and storage, with the International Energy Agency saying it will be almost impossible to achieve net zero by 2050 without it. Carbon capture and storage will enable us to reduce emissions from the production of natural gas and LNG, but more importantly, it provides the opportunity to help our customers reduce or offset emissions from consumption. And it will enable the production of green fuels, such as hydrogen from natural gas, combined with carbon capture and storage, eliminating Scope 1, 2 and 3 emissions, and at prices that customers will be willing to pay. In 2050, under the IEA's net zero scenario, about half the world's gas production will be used to make hydrogen, and about 40% of the world's hydrogen will be made from natural gas. We know that carbon capture and storage works. It's been done before, and there are now 27 commercial projects operating around the world today. The biggest CCS project in the world is in Australia, at Gorgon's LNG project in Western Australia. It has successfully stored 6 million tonnes of CO2 since it started up in 2019. And at Santos, we are building a 1.7 million tonne per year CCS project at Moomba in South Australia's Cooper Basin. While for Santos, our Moomba project is the first out of the blocks, our project here in Timor-Leste in London is not far behind. Earlier this year, with our joint venture partners, we entered FEED on the project, building on the signing of the MOU with the ANPM in September 2021. We are looking at a storage capacity of around 10 million tonnes of CO2 per year, using existing infrastructure, once production from the field ceases. Prior to the CCS project, and at the cessation of production, the first step is to make the facility safe and free of hydrocarbons through a suspension of operations phase. Once safe, removal of facilities such as the floating storage offtake vessel and associated infield infrastructure can occur. Decommissioning the FSO will create significant opportunities for the local community. We will have a focus on local content during this phase, particularly for the cleaning prior to disposal of equipment. It will be critical to ensure the appropriate regulatory frameworks are in place for this work, and we are currently working with the government and regulator ANPM on this. Following the suspension of operations phase, the London facility will be ready to transition to a CCS project, if that is what our joint venture partners and the government of Timor-Leste support. Given that the wells and the facilities are already in place, the CCS could be a low-cost, large-scale, commercial CCS project that could store CO2 from regional projects, including any future Timor-Leste developments. This CO2 storage capacity in Bayu-Undan has the potential to provide a carbon solution for undeveloped fields in the region. Bayu-Undan CCS has the potential to be the catalyst for the development of other fields. Santos' Barossa project could be the foundation customer, delivering 2.3 million tonnes of CO2 per year, making Barossa one of the lowest carbon intensity LNG projects in the world. As we move through the FEED process, I'm excited to continue to explore the opportunities this project can deliver for the people of Timor-Leste. Further to Bayu-Undan CCS, we believe there remains undiscovered resources in Timor-Leste. This enthusiasm is demonstrated in Santos bidding for and being awarded the opportunity to explore in Block R, which is the acreage surrounding the Bayu-Undan field, and where our team believes both oil and gas prospectivity exists. It's been a great visit so far, and I'm looking forward to meeting as many of you as possible throughout the rest of today. These face-to-face conversations are so important in building enduring partnerships and relationships. So it's great to be back travelling, meeting with people, and having these very important conversations. Obrigado. Thank you.
Perfect. So I really love the presentation, the speech actually. You emphasized a lot, Kevin, on local content, I think it was very important to mention that this country not only has successfully built local companies that are ready to jump into assisting and helping and actually leading operations on the ground, and we have some really good initiatives and experts with us today. But at the same time, we need to mention Timogod, that it's a very well-established national oil company that has been partaking in the round and at the same time facilitating conversations with investors and supporting the ENPM and the Ministry of Petroleum. So without any further ado, I'd like to invite on stage Mr. Antonio de Sousa, President and CEO of Timogod, to give his keynote remarks.
Ulukliu, kami dorong mereka menaran, kami respeito para senhor ministro, presidente ANPEN, nosso presidente aqui, o número ativo ini, General Lere, General Coliati, senhor Ambassador Australia, senhor David Lawrence, nível macanesa principal negociador do assunto Greater Sunrise. Corpo diplomático, vamos a respeito da Sunrise Joint Venture, também participa em evento né. Lá vamos parceiro da Timor-Leste e a onshore, vamos offshore, da bloco de mesma guia, vamos bloco de mesma cidade mãe e va entidade Estado, negócio Estado de Timor-Leste né, a vamos a respeito do presidente bem certo na equipa toma que né. Karit Mos, presidente CCIT, a meu respeito, no Lahalua, a minha mamãe ensina a sociedade civil, não vemos sempre formando para Timor-Leste, a meu respeito toma, no convidar outro não vemos macar minha dor. Bom dia, good morning. So the principal roles of Timor-Leste as a Timor-Leste state-owned company are to identify, to characterize, develop and optimize the strategic value, the commercial value, and socio-economic value of the oil and gas within the jurisdiction of Timor-Leste for the benefit of the state and our people. This can only be achieved by confronting and then transforming the many challenges that facing our young nation into opportunities that attract foreign partners and investors. They come from every direction, locally and globally. While acknowledge the global shift away from fossil fuels, Timor-Leste must use its God-given natural resources to the benefit of its citizens. Together with the other state organizations and international experts, we are working on to make a better, to quantify our nation's resources assets. For the mineral and petroleum, we continue to update and upgrade our geological knowledge and understanding, either in onshore and offshore areas. We conduct an exploration survey involving surface geological mapping, geochemical sampling analysis, cutting-edge remote geophysical techniques. Those approach Timor-Leste utilizing in-house and contracting processing and interpretation of the data from stratigraphic, structural modeling, reservoir modeling, rock and fluid elastic modeling, until to understand the phase behavior, reservoir simulation, even geomechanical analysis, are completely ahead of modern field development and production prior to FID studies. At this summit, you also heard today His Excellency President or CEO of Santos mention about the CCUS. Timor-Leste has a vision. We are in the scope of study, not only looking for the CCS, but we are beyond the CCS for the next generation of energy, which is hydrogen energy. We are involved with the improved field abandonment techniques and procedures. All these efforts are focused on providing value creation and income generation, where our people, our environment, and our state's mandate drive in decision making. We, Timor-Leste, will not forget that our unity with the nature, it is fundamental. Our way of life, our existence. We will protect our pristine environment. It was a key survival element during our struggling to achieve our independence. It remains a key element during its growth and stabilization as a young, properly regulated, democratic nation with a thriving economy. Therefore, the development of energy and other natural resources shall be in the context of national energy plan that contribute to this national objective, along with our transition toward carbon neutrality. Sustainable environment, biodiversity is a key driver now and in our future. Timor-Leste fully understands and embraces its responsibility in carefully promoting sustainable monetization of the nation's outstanding energy resources that exist within our very strategic geographic and geopolitical location in Australasia region. Encourage a broad cross-section of the global community attending this summit to work with us in this effort will secure our national energy security, our independence, and create value and wealth to all the parties that involved. However, in the same time, we soberly realize there are many challenges, obstacles, risks, and uncertainties that we will confront. But we only transform and grow through the confronting the challenge, not by hiding in the comfort zone. These are the transformation times for our company, our people, and our nation. It is my pleasure to welcome all of you in Timor-Leste fourth Energy and Mining Summit. We sincerely hope you all to join us in our journey and that we all will mutually benefit in the development and prosperity of our people and our country. Thank you very much.
So thank you very much, Your Excellency. So before we go on our first morning break, you see I need to have coffee as well. I'd like to ask everyone to come at the front so we can take a group picture as we did the previous time, and we have it in our offices. If you can make your way towards the stage, Steli, I think you need to give the good example. By the way, let me introduce you to my co-CEO, Stelios Papagrigorio, for anyone that has not met him yet. He's behind all of our investment operations. So it would be lovely to take a group picture. So please come at the front so we can start grouping up. Madalena, can you hold me just in case someone doesn't understand?
Bom dia, só para quem fala português, nós vamos agora tirar uma fotografia do grupo. Por favor, dirijam-se ao palco só durante 30 segundos e depois então fazemos as logísticas relativamente ao café da manhã, está bem?
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the head panels. As Roger Secretary said, please, all the delegates in this room, may you find yourself on the stage to take a group picture together. We are now into photo session. Once again, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, before we cut for the coffee break, would you please find yourself on the stage for a photo session?
All the head panels to stay on the head table. Also for the media, please stay, because in a few minutes we will be starting our press conference session. And now, with all the respect, I would like to invite all the delegates, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, to please leave the conference room for the coffee break, because we are now entering the press conference session. So we're just going to be media, officers, and the head panels for the press conferences. Thank you. And I also would like to inform about the logistic things. For all the missing badges, so please bear with us and come to the registration table when the cold break ends. Thank you. I think some of you may already know where the coffee break will be. The foods and drinks are served downstairs right after the entrance. So please help yourself. And again, I really need you to leave the conference room, because we are now entering the press conference session. We all just need the head tables to stay on the head table, and all the media. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, in a few minutes we will begin our press conference session. If you still want to be here, if that's fair enough, but please stay silent, okay? And thank you.
Licenciamento sa ilan niya?
and regulator sort of framework that is required. We need new regulations for CCS because they don't exist today. And so I was really pleased to hear the Minister and Florentino talk today about the need for the two countries to collaborate on putting the frameworks in place. And I think that's important now that the Australian government works with Timor-Leste government to put those essential regulatory frameworks in place to allow the transfer of CO2 from Australia, perhaps as well as Timor-Leste CO2 opportunities. But my hope would be sometime around 2025-26. That would be great if we could achieve that, and it helps us keep the continuity of workforce and jobs in place through the transition from the end of the Bio-London project to the repurposing and the decommissioning activities around Bio-London, and then obviously the start-up of the CCS project itself. Thank you.
Pregunta en inglés porque no entiendo bien portugués, por favor.
I'll do it in English. There was some experts in the sector that said the second round of licensing was disappointing. How do you view that? Do you agree with that evaluation? Do you think it was better or worse than expected? And the second question, how is the process to negotiations to start developing Greater Sunrise? We haven't heard anything from Sunrise for many years. There was talk of a meeting and a very ambitious calendar being set up, but there's absolute silence from the Timorese government, Timogod, the authorities for many years. What's the status?
Let me just say that the first question would be better fit for President Florentino as he's behind the licensing round. But I still think that it's good to hear it.
Well, the thing is very explained when I come to present. The role of Timor-Leste as a state-owned company is to make sure get out the strategic value of the resources we have for the benefit of the people in our country. So we are always trying our best to get as much as we can, and we think because we got one block in the block A, which is as we expected, and the other block we are also open to work with our partner, and this is the way we are facing the challenge and develop ourselves, because and in the same time, as I mentioned, that Timor-Leste as a state-owned company, we come to the phase that we are not looking for extract our oil and gas or resources, but we also discuss with our partner, with ADDL, to see what is the cost of national energy plan for us in order to develop our resources with sensibility to our environmental. That is the focus point. While Sunrise, I think is every time I come to the parliament, we never hide anything. We explain everything to the people. We sit in the parliament and representing our people, and they have their obligation. They have the right to know what is the process going on. At the end of the day, if anything approval to the Sunrise method, the decision has to make the Council National. But in terms of negotiation, it is very good. I can say maybe President Ante will explain, is representing the Timor-Leste in the negotiation. Since a very long time, two government has concluded to have an alignment and set up schedule the timeline for the negotiation, which is never happened, and is very good happening in this time, and we are working toward the challenging and the schedule to have alignment between our joint venture as well as alignment with the states. So I think for the Sunrise we are moving very, very progress. In Timor-Leste part, we are doing our exercise intensively. We want to understand better the reservoir. We want to understand better how we are going to develop. This is the only way that we need to have, at the end of the day, we need to have our reserve certification in order to make our investment is viable. Of course, it's taking time, but this is the way we develop ourselves. Thank you.
Acho que já expliquei durante a minha intervenção que não fácil. Naquela altura tivemos um período de incerteza e difícil. Muitas empresas decidiram não investir. Portanto, a Indonésia também teve por volta de 5 empresas aplicaram durante a sua ronda. Portanto, muitos países cancelaram as suas rondas de licenças e quando dizemos foi falhado porque só conseguimos ter por volta de 5, acho que não. Acho que foi um sucesso porque a circunstância é diferente. Portanto, há muitos países cancelados e não comprometeram para continuar com as suas licenças. Portanto, Timor, não tivemos opção, né? Precisamos de continuar porque não temos mais campos que produzem. Portanto, nós temos só um campo e neste momento precisamos de buscar mais alternativas. E já expliquei durante a minha introdução também, neste momento temos por volta de 15 projetos em Timor, 6 no onshore e por volta de 9 no offshore. Isto é um falhado. Prova para mim, você tem mais outro país que tem mais bons resultados da licença. Acho que não é falhado, né? Isso é uma coisa que precisamos de clarificar ao público. Foi um esforço que investimos e já provamos que temos neste momento por volta de 15 projetos que nós vamos arrancar e trabalhar com eles. Obrigado.
Yeah, mine is not working. Okay, very good. I actually wanted to comment something on the round, if you allow me. Because our company works with various governments across the world and regulators, and we've seen rounds that have been very unsuccessful, and I must say this is not one of them. And I will explain why. I understood my Portuguese is not so good, my Tetum is even worse, but I understood you spoke about uncertain times, you spoke about COVID, and that many countries had to cancel the rounds. And I have to add to it that not many countries were able to even travel around and speak with so many investors. And for us to detect the interest in a round, right, you need to understand how many companies are interested, how many companies want to pick up the phone and speak, how many companies want to come and meet you, how many companies want to have a virtual meeting with you. And we spoke with over 300 companies. There was interest, and we went from, I don't know what Timor-Leste is, to I really want to speak with President Florentino, the AMPM, and the team. Now, when it comes to actually committing to a round, committing to bid, committing to put some investment in, before Ukraine, the money was not there. There was no investment flowing in most companies, independent and majors. So we also, I say we because I consider us one team, President, we understood there was also another opportunity to include more local content into the offer, and to actually amend a couple of things. And we had a CCS plan announcement before even the launch. The launch was way before the CCS announcement. So this was something we wanted to change, and it's going to be a second step for what's coming next. But if you ask my professional opinion, I think the round was very successful. And even the fact that we're here today with a round, that says a lot. That says a lot. So then we need to see the commitment side, and there's a third and fourth stage. But I wouldn't say that it was just a matter of uncertainty of COVID. We've spoken to over 300 companies within 6 months. That was not.
Sí, pregunta dirigida a MPN. Ita harapkan progreso ka desenvolvimento, investimento ka iha proyecto petrolífero iha Raimarno iha Taslarne nadatnya aqui já não está.
Ita projeto do que era na Dema mais musiqueiras primeiro governo, né? durante o governo anterior estava sendo na mesma cama, continua a produzir, continua a exploração, dá um sucesso, mas bem, então ele para vender, então campo ida de uma produz. Durante tinha barat nelara, então declara também nosso país produtor, mas bem lá nega kata kita produz o campo luar. Campo kita kita produz dia mana? Campo siraselo kita halo descobrimento comercial. Campo não vem ajuda a receita suas riquezas, gênese início ou se construção externa, né? Mais que 2004, 2005, nem mais campo baiano até a data. Mas o baiano não se mara. Portanto, ainda não tem coisas que também campo halo. O livro que está no governo, do Ministério do Petróleo e Minerais, FOSAI, promoções que também em 2019, mas bem, então estamos aqui a pandemia COVID-19, nós economia global no mono, cria incerteza em investimento, é uma barra lá e apetece a empresa. No fim do dia, isso não é uma realidade. Mas bem, então, todos conseguem entrar empresa mesma. Cuja empresa mesma, né? Saímos aqui da então seria projeto, total projeto não é existente, não é projeto reforma, né? Então é total projeto sanulo de cinema. E a CIA está não é Raimara. Pela primeira vez que tinha projeto, o bloco, exploração campo, nem a cidade. Então nunca tinha nessa. Então foi na rua, primeira vez, perfuração em Raimara e já tinha voto. Quando ele Timor-Leste, fura e suai, agora vai para o Suruano. E então, se tinha projeto nessa, há muito rápido. Quando se tinha projeto rua, ele é suai, ele é anufahi com a Inara, agora está botando a Timor-Leste, bloco polata e na Carolina, mas a sociedade da Cuba, então se avança com o bloco e a Aliambata, na mesma empresa e a Escúsica que está, então a empresa local é toda, e Timor-Leste é tanto um bloco e a Lauten, e daí o projeto do Luquia. Então pode ser se arrega, pronto, então tem que realístico. E a exploração vai ser da jogo, da ruma que entra, da ruma que ela entra. Não é realidade industrial. Lá vem, nem a cada que está entra no outro, não é bem, então tem que entender que gasta de todos os vírus. Situação real que tem no país, não é bem, mas falamos análise do Ministério da Finanças, feita na ilha produção unida, e tem Estado, dele, utiliza fundos petrolíferos, fundo petróleo, né? Todo dia 2035. Mas bem, se cada que está graças a uma, mas tem que firmar o projeto saúde nesse Lima, no Maquia, mas que tem sorte, tem população de um sucesso, e também já está na capacidade. Creio que essa fase tem o processo de negociação na área. Então precisa ter enquadramento legais, fiscais, reguladoras, e depois que está avança, vai ir a plano de desenvolvimento, conceito de desenvolvimento, para plano de desenvolvimento, vai ir a prova do Estado, mas não há recursos, Estado, mesmo em entendimento público, a tua saída para tratar de tudo, mas que não é uma realidade. Até pela diante, e tem a esperança, mas estamos tendo que cuidar. E o país dependente de recursos, e da vez, a situação de malícia de recursos não é muito feita. Então, não é uma consciente. O objetivo não é se ver ainda, continua a dar a investidores mais, continua a criar cooperação com países vizinhos, Indonésia, Austrália, e também representante para o povo da Guiné e Moçambique. Então, a nueva para o contínuo local, foi oportunidade da Timor-Leste, a Guiné empresário, a Tubere, presta o fornecimento de bens e serviços, foi oportunidade da Timor-Leste, a Tubere participa e há empregos, oportunidade de empregos, campo de trabalho, e o bloco vira novamente, a volta do Timor-Leste, durante a minha estudo sísmico, absorve por volta 1.000 pessoas para a atividade de aquisição sísmica. Imagina se aí teria o projeto na mesma maneira rata, significa sair. Então, veria a oportunidade para que temos. Também não é oportunidade de emprego, então veria treinamento, e educação, leva e também capacidade. Indústria petrolífera Laos, indústria ainda não vê, mas se permanece e a generar, também depende dos recursos não renováveis, logo unida se voto, mas a diversificação econômica não entrega para oferecer assim.
Oke, musik post lebih kita identifica ba resultado musik test ya laboratório não usa no laboratório itu baru pak no kita lebih
e o país italiano normalmente depois de tirar de manual que está explora para ir a Raimara Itafura B, Itafura Mina, lá de Itafura B. Itafura Mina, Lilu e Fátima não vem dados lá completo, ele não lá passa. Ita precisa de dados não vem para ter. Só lá compora vem para ter Timor país rico. Atu considera de rico e tu descobre lá. Atu descobre e tem que vir o procedimento toma não vem que indústria não opta. Ita lá vem turci que essa sigla cada Timor rico é por volta de 6 bilhões, 5 bilhões. Ele não lá vem. Tem que vir pode ser né? Processo ser lá. Saya mak kita fura yang Raimara Timor-Leste, yang suai, primeiro poço kita hetan escolares técnicas, kita kena colocar, ini para profundidade por volta de 600 metros. Lepas segundo poço kita hetan descoberta mais técnica. Aku hetan descoberta técnica, sila precisa fura tam poço seluka. Agora sila plano hela fura poço. La os point kita fura kena hetan, kita fura basuri kita hetan lá. Então nem buat kita precisa construir. Também gasta milhões de dólares, ele precisa construir um modo de ir a corresponde a rodadas no mesmo que está musculatura. Pois não vamos aqui também nessa. Agora, ele mesmo sabe essa. Timor-Leste há uma atividade e a Kualata, e a Bloco A, e depois Timor-Leste temos se participa em Bloco Sireia e a Bacilara, e tem a esperança. Bem, dia com projetos no mesmo barra, que tem a esperança, mas bem, está na parte, e está na beira obriga de entrar. E a única lá. E a nene sujeita para o resultado em laboratório com o laboratório, né? Tem uma região se arruca, laboratório se arruca, e se arruca o resultado ao mesmo tempo que precisa completa tá, posso ser assim, como ele constrói, modelo que conclusivo de comércio única. Se não começa a solicitar a outra santa, se comércio ele continua avançando a produção, o desenvolvimento, a praia do desenvolvimento de construção.
Okay, ito yung pergunta sa David, sa Ministro Kare o ba Sosialis kay Ministro Kare, ba Santos o ba Timor-Leste. Yung pergunta sa Datang ito ay matatan na press conference.
Dahil ba na fatin Presidente Pemia, tamaliya ba ako katakoy katagyan 2035 tarik nila sa bayunan sihon. Kaya pensa, usi Pemia, minha preparação a exploração de recursos, equipamentos, a segurança para o futuro da empresa.
E também depende da área que faz do que realmente. Realmente pula no tubo. E de 2035 na fundo petróleo não uso. Vai roto. Vai andando roto e a fula no tubo. Não é o que italiano kata kita tem que serviço makasto. Saya makamhan na daw. Então se promove aqui projetos nem ia Raimara. Se a cancelaram, inclusive no tema anterior existe, o projeto CCS, a tabela traz também investidores, a mim continua, a tabela promove também bloco, família assim todo no mesmo dia, olhem o abastecimento do barulho, que está tendo sucesso, mas a minha área está sucesso, e a mim continua na FAP, a tabela a aproximação a empresas que no mesmo grupo expressam a empresa. Então, a família que nós dependemos do petróleo, que tem minérios, e tem minérios, e minérios nós que tudo por minérios que se quer harita ou estabelecikan fundo minério. E depois ia foram duas firmas, kita buat secara partisipa hari klana na makamnya, ano na tudara investidores que parte minérios. Lembra que estou tema, o Secretario Nacional do Petróleo Minerais, ele usa orientação especialização ministerial do petróleo e minerais para e também busca alternativas para os planos que estão aqui no Brasil. Primeiro kami benar. Obrigado.
Any other question? Apologies. Because we're running out of time. Any question for Kevin Gallagher? Pregunta para Kevin Gallagher? We can even translate.
Yes, se alguém quiser dizer em português, eu também posso traduzir para inglês. Alguma pergunta?
Ia pa pergunta sa nagkakapuso ay sa Kevin. Belay gusto in English o Português? Por favor. Like, obrigado. No more. Thank you.
So in a few minutes we will start our second station, which is we're going to talk about.
Ouvintes no telespectadores, ita acompanhou na sessão da Hulu que se semera o Hiloronian no press conference nebe halau e a salão City 8. Depois de pausa, orador Cira se continua a cimeira idane toremata. E a cara informa para ouvintes no telespectadores katak e a cimeira idane se a continuação e a lorong abang no bain rua nebe se colia com a introdução da iniciativa conteúdo local no mos oportunidade setor mineração no enquadramento legal nação Timor-Leste e a setor mineração. E icusliu a equipa nebe serviço hamutuk e a transmissão direta idane hato obrigada wain e adeus.